All right, so you've sent over a ton of info on dietetic technicians from RoleCatcher.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly you're at least a little curious about this career path,
Yeah.
maybe even thinking about it for yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, consider this Deep Dive Your Crash course in what it's really like to work as a dietetic technician.
It's a fascinating field for sure.
Okay, so before we get into all the nitty-gritty, let's start with the basics.
Okay.
What do dietetic technicians actually do all day?
So it's not just about like, whipping up delicious and healthy menus. Haha.
Right.
It's way more in depth than that.
Okay.
Think of them kind of like the culinary masterminds behind the scenes,
Okay.
working hand in hand with registered dietitians to craft personalized nutrition programs
Yeah.
and meal plans for patients.
Okay, so it's very individualized.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about your average meal prep here.
Right.
Imagine tailoring those meal plans for someone with diabetes or heart disease.
Oh, wow.
That requires serious expertise.
Yeah. That's a lot more responsibility than I initially thought.
Yeah.
The RoleCatcher materials mention things like patient reviews, planning for patients transitioning off tube feeding,
Oh, right.
parenthetically, which, by the way, is officially called enteral feeding.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day.
Uh-huh, exactly.
And they even mention things like conducting clinical audits.
It's a lot.
Sounds like they wear a lot of hats.
They absolutely do.
Yeah.
And the best part is that variety extends to their work environment, too.
Really?
We're talking hospitals, clinics, nursing homes, private practices, schools, even corporate offices.
Wow. Okay.
The options are super diverse.
Okay, now that's what I call options. But with all that variety, what's the work-life balance really like?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I'm guessing it varies quite a bit depending on the setting.
You nailed it.
Okay.
Hospitals and clinics might mean irregular hours, potentially even weekends or holidays.
Right. Makes sense.
But on the flip side, if you're looking for more predictability in your schedule, private practices or schools could be a better fit.
Okay.
It really boils down to your priorities.
So it's a classic trade-off, like with many career paths.
Exactly.
But for someone who's really passionate about both healthcare and nutrition, this sounds like it could be the best of both worlds.
It really could be.
Speaking of which, let's talk about the pros and cons.
Okay, sure.
RoleCatcher highlights some pretty compelling advantages.
Yeah.
But what about the potential downsides? What should someone considering this career be prepared for?
Well, on the bright side, the job outlook for dietetic technicians is looking incredibly strong.
Okay, that's good.
The healthcare industry in general is booming.
Mm-hmm.
And with the growing emphasis on preventative care and nutrition, qualified professionals are in high demand.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And it's also incredibly fulfilling to work directly with patients and help them improve their health and well-being.
Oh, for sure.
And let's not forget the potential for specialization and career advancement as you gain experience.
Those are some seriously enticing perks.
Right.
Okay, but let's be real. What about the flip side? What are some of the challenges of the job?
Right. Well, the salary might be a bit lower than some people hope for, especially when starting out. And the work itself can be pretty demanding, both physically and emotionally.
Yeah,
You're dealing with people's health, after all.
of course.
Plus, you need to be comfortable with continuous learning.
What do you mean?
Well, the field of nutrition is constantly evolving, so staying up to date is crucial.
So you always have to be reading those research journals.
Exactly. You have to stay on top of it.
So it's not a career for those who shy away from a challenge.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I guess not.
But for someone who's truly passionate about making a difference in people's lives through nutrition, it sounds incredibly rewarding.
Absolutely.
So let's say someone's heard all this and they're still intrigued.
Okay.
What does it actually take to become a dietetic technician? What kind of education are we talking about?
In most cases, you'd need at least an associate's degree in dietetics or a related field. However, some states might have additional certification or licensure requirements, so it's always best to check the specifics in your state,
Good point.
just to be on the safe side.
And once you've got your foot in the door, what does career progression look like in this field? Is it a clear ladder to climb, or are there multiple paths you can take?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher actually lays out a pretty clear trajectory from entry-level to advanced dietetic technician, with each stage involving more responsibility and requiring a greater depth of expertise.
Okay.
So there's definitely room to grow and take on new challenges as you gain experience.
So it's not a one and done kind of career.
Right?
You can really build on your skills and knowledge over time.
Exactly.
Can you give us a concrete example of how the responsibilities might change as someone climbs that career ladder?
Absolutely. Imagine this. An entry-level technician might spend a lot of their time assisting with menu planning and conducting basic patient reviews.
Okay.
Now, fast forward a bit and picture an advanced technician.
Okay.
They could be developing specialized nutrition programs for patients with complex medical needs,
Oh, wow.
collaborating with doctors and nurses on patient care plans, and even leading research initiatives.
Oh, wow.
It's quite a progression.
Wow, that is impressive. You could go from assisting with meal plans to shaping the way we approach nutrition and healthcare as a whole.
Yeah,
That's pretty remarkable. But let's be honest, it's not all about degrees and certifications.
right.
What are some essential skills that are absolutely crucial for success in this field, regardless of where you are on that career ladder?
So RoleCatcher actually highlights two key areas that are particularly important.
Okay, I'm ready.
First, you need strong monitoring skills.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about keeping an eye on the clock.
Uh-huh, okay.
You need to be able to critically assess your own work,
Mm-hmm.
the work of your colleagues,
Okay.
and even how the organization itself is performing.
Wow.
And then you need to be able to suggest improvements or take the initiative to make things better.
So it's about being proactive and solution-oriented, not just going through the motions.
Exactly.
I like it.
Right.
What's the second must-have skill set?
This one might seem obvious in a patient-facing role,
Mm-hmm.
but it's absolutely crucial. Exceptional customer and personal service skills.
Okay.
You're interacting with patients who are often going through challenging times.
Right.
And those interactions need to be positive, productive, and compassionate. You need to be able to accurately assess their needs, ensure that your services are meeting their needs and adhering to quality standards, and ultimately make sure those patients feel heard, supported, and empowered.
So a genuine desire to help people, coupled with excellent communication skills, is a must-have,
Oh, absolutely.
which makes perfect sense. You're dealing with people's health and well-being.
Right.
So empathy and clear communication are essential.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And that leads us perfectly to our next topic, the often dreaded interview process.
Yeah.
But before we dive into that, let's hear a quick word from our sponsors. And we're back, continuing our deep dive into the world of dietetic technicians. Before the break, we were just about to get into that nerve-wracking interview process.
Yeah.
But luckily, RoleCatcher has got us covered with some helpful tips.
They really do. They have this awesome resource with tons of potential interview questions
Okay.
specifically designed for these kinds of jobs.
Nice. So it takes the guesswork out of prepping for sure.
Exactly.
Okay, so what kind of questions are we talking about here? Give us a sneak peek.
Let's see. One that really stood out to me, and I think it really gets to the heart of what this job is all about, is can you describe a time when you had to work with a difficult patient or client?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right. And it's important to remember, this isn't just about telling a dramatic story or anything.
Right.
It's about really showing off your communication style,
Okay.
your problem-solving skills, and most importantly, I think your empathy.
Yeah.
Because they really want to see how you can handle those kind of tricky interpersonal situations.
Right, because not every patient interaction is going to be sunshine and rainbows.
Exactly.
So how do you prepare for that?
Well, that's where RoleCatcher's AI-powered interview practice comes in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can actually record yourself answering these questions.
Oh, cool.
And then get feedback on things like your delivery,
Okay.
your body language, even all that good stuff. It's like having a personal interview coach in your pocket.
Okay. That's seriously cool.
Right.
I need to get my hands on this AI coach. But acing the interview is just one piece of the puzzle, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What other resources does RoleCatcher offer to give job seekers an extra edge?
Well, get this. Their AI can actually help you optimize your CV or resume
What?
to match specific job requirements.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's like tailoring it to each specific job you apply for.
Exactly. Because you know how important those keywords are
Oh, totally.
when you're up against hundreds of other applicants.
Yeah.
So it could really increase your chances of actually getting seen by the right people.
It's like a secret weapon against those applicant tracking systems.
Right.
No more resumes getting lost in the digital void.
Exactly.
And speaking of getting noticed, doesn't RoleCatcher also offer something to help with networking?
Absolutely.
Because that's always a hot topic in the career world.
Oh, yeah, it's huge.
So what do they have?
So their platform helps you like organize your professional network,
Okay.
keep track of contacts and stuff,
Oh, that's useful.
and even identify potential leads. Because sometimes landing that dream job is about who you know as much as what you know.
So true.
Right.
It's all about building those connections,
Wow.
fostering relationships.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, it's fascinating how technology is really changing the career world.
Oh, it's crazy.
We've talked about using AI for interview prep, even resume optimization.
Right.
But I'm curious to go back to something you mentioned earlier. How could AI actually transform the actual work of a dietetic technician in the future?
Oh, man. It's an exciting time to be in this field, that's for sure.
Right.
Imagine using AI to not only analyze a patient's dietary needs, like super precisely,
Okay.
but also to like predict potential deficiencies before they even happen.
Wow.
We could be talking about a whole revolution in preventative care.
Wow, that's amazing. And I love that.
Right.
It's like taking a proactive approach instead of a reactive approach.
Exactly.
It sounds like technology could not only really enhance the work these guys do,
Yeah,
but also open up entirely new career paths.
totally. And it's not just limited to AI either.
Oh, right.
Think about using virtual reality to create like super immersive nutrition counseling sessions.
Oh, that's cool.
Or telehealth platforms to make this kind of guidance more available to people in remote areas.
That's a really good
The
point.
possibilities are pretty much endless at this point.
It's like we're on the cusp of a nutritional revolution.
I know, right?
But with all this talk about the future, let's bring it back down to earth for a sec.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
Everything from the day-to-day stuff to the potential career paths and how tech is changing the game. But before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with something to really think about. So we've talked about all the cool ways tech can help dietetic technicians find jobs.
Yeah.
And even how AI could like totally change the field in the future.
Right.
But what about using all that to actually help people right now?
That's the important part.
I mean, think about it.
Okay.
We've got all this personalized nutrition advice literally at our fingertips these days.
So much info.
But then we're also constantly bombarded with like all this conflicting information.
Oh, totally.
Fad diets, marketing hype.
I know, it's a lot.
It can be totally overwhelming.
It really is.
Right. It's like we have all the info we could ever need,
Yeah.
but then it's hard to know what to trust.
Exactly.
So how can aspiring dietetic technicians use their skills to like cut through all that noise?
It's a good question.
And really empower people to make good decisions about their nutrition, especially with all this tech at their disposal.
Totally.
That's something I'm going to be thinking about long after we finish this deep dive.
It's a really important question.
It is.
And it gets to like the heart of the impact this career can really have.
Right.
It's not just about like, writing out meal plans. It's
Yeah.
about being a trusted guide
Yes.
in a world that's just like drowning in nutritional BS.
Perfectly said. And you know what?
What's that?
That's a pretty inspiring way to look at it.
I think so too.
It's about giving people the knowledge
Mm.
and the tools they need to take control of their own health,
Exactly.
which is awesome.
For sure.
Well, folks, I think it's safe to say we've officially deep dived into the world of dietetic technicians today.
I think
We
so.
really covered it all, the day-to-day realities,
Yeah.
potential career paths,
Yeah.
how tech is changing the game.
It's a lot to cover.
But most importantly, we gave you, our listener, a taste of what this career is all about,
Right.
the good and the bad.
The challenges and the reward.
And of course, the potential to make a real difference in the world.
Exactly.
And hopefully we've inspired you to learn even more.
There you go.
That's what we're here for.
Awesome.
All right, that's a wrap on another deep dive. Until next time, keep those brains engaged and those questions coming.